Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Lisa Derby City. Long time no see. Disclaimer, this is purely for entertainment purposes. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. I don't know how you are all feeling, but I've been feeling a bit meh. I don't know if it's to do with either age, work, life, balance, motivation or the lack of motivation. Hearing things about people being stabbed, a lot of doom and gloom. And it got me thinking that we are what we consume. And by consumption, it's not always about the food we eat, but also about what we watch, listen to, read, and also about the company that we keep, because that can affect our psyche. So I was thinking it's kind of like important to protect our energy, because when we are in certain environments, that can affect how we are feeling emotionally or even physically. And then that will start to affect you mentally, because it's about the holistic, it's about that you as the individual. So it's kind of like learning to know if you're in certain situations to protect yourself. It's like kind of like having an invisible barrier. Because I work in social care and I work with vulnerable people. And it's kind of like when we are in a certain environment, we have to have a professional front. And any personal issues that I'm going through at home, I have to kind of like leave that behind and just focus on the person that I am supporting. But in the same breath, it's also important to protect my own emotional well-being as well. And that's why it's kind of like important, this work to life balance. And I'm at an age where I can choose in my free time who I wish to spend my time or company with, and who I want to share my energy with as well. That is so important. So basically, as I suppose the message is to be aware of who you have, be it a friend, family, or even an enemy. When you are with certain individuals or a person, how do you feel when they're no longer in your presence? Do you feel kind of like full of life, energy, enthusiastic, motivated? Or do you feel kind of like do you get headaches? Like no energy? If that's happening, then that is saying about sometimes people don't realise, and this can be our nears and dearest, that they can affect our energy because we are quite open. So sometimes we may be taking some of their anxiety or neurosis, and that can impact on us. So it's kind of like learning to know, is that my issue or is that their issue? And it's kind of like, it's learning to protect your energy. Even what I do this in my own personal free time. So I choose to do this. My time, my energy. Because in a sense, this is my hobby, my passion. Sometimes I'm fortunate where people are willing to pay for this service in this exchange of energy, where they come to me to seek clarity on a specific situation. And if you are open, meaning energetically, then I can get a download. So you may come to me for one specific question, and then I might give you something else. And you're thinking, well, I don't really want to know about that, I want to know about this. But that's how it works. Because people see tarot as either, sometimes there's two categories of people that come to me for a specific clarity. Some come from entertainment purposes. Some will come because they want clarity or guidance. with regards to a particular situation. So I'd like to thank you people, those that come for this entertainment or those that want some type of spiritual guidance. I appreciate it because, again, it's about my time, your time. And I suppose that's it, actually. I've been having a lot of technical issues, so I don't know about you guys. And it's and I'm still learning this. And depending on your belief system, what you hear about Mercury is in retrograde. And then we had the full moon on the 10th of July. And then we have another full moon. Now, if I remember correctly, that will be around the August as well. And I think that could be the August of the 24th, don't quote me. And this will be our 24th full moon, or we had our 24th full moon in the UK. And the moon can affect us as well, hence the clue in the name lunacy. And it can also affect our cycle, especially of the female, per se, if you're female and you're still menstruating, the moon can affect your cycle. And I suppose the reason why I'm so focused on energy and the importance of protecting your energy is I've noticed in certain situations or with certain individuals, my energy is affected. And even I sometimes forget to do my little mantra of protecting my energy and have my invisible shield, like kind of like a protection. And then it's kind of like, if it's not mine, then with love and light, return to sender. So I suppose it's about the energy as well. And again, the importance to be wary of what we do consume as well. So I suppose that is the message. It's about protecting your energy and also learning to say no and don't feel obligated. And why I'm saying that, if you don't want to do something, be honest. Because no doesn't mean the next opportunity. No means no. And also, you don't have to explain. Okay. So I suppose it's about the energy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my oracle cards. And I set the intention that whatever is gained from the cards, let's see what is the message with regards to the energy. And like I said, it might not resonate with all of you. So let's just see what is the message about energy. I'm going to do 3 cards. So card 1 will be about the past. Card 2 will be about the here and now, the present moment. And then 3 will be the potential future. So, ooh. Right, so can you see this? We've got Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times. So this is kind of like with regards energetically in a past situation. And it says in changing times. So this could be applicable with regards to other changes in our lives, which is beyond our control. So it's about circumstances. And it's kind of like, how do we react to circumstances that we can't control? So it's kind of like learning to be flexible. And then also, you'll start to discover that maybe you have hidden talents as well, or you have the opportunity to discover or rediscover hidden talents. And it's kind of like being creative with your time. Because remember I said about that work-to-life balance. And the word that we're living in is always changing. And it's more about the cost of living. And then issues with water, and then the doom and gloom about certain political alliances, and then being pro this for women's rights or people from a minority background, or even to do with your sexuality. And there are lots of changes. And sometimes it feels like we're going backwards. We're meant to be the 21st century with all this advancement in technology with AI. But sometimes, because of this human psyche, unfortunately, the world that we live in, there will always be a them or us. But again, the them us is that we're all human, and that is the key. Because it's a bit like divide and conquer, and that's what seems to be happening historically, and it still seems to be happening in this day and age in the 21st century, where people are being segregated or being labelled. Because the spirit fox is kind of like symbolic as well. How the fox is not a domesticated animal. It's actually untamed. And people will say that the fox is encroaching on their territory. But remember, we share this earth, don't we? So it will be natural to see this fox in our gardens. And that's kind of like symbolic of changes as well. Because it says, trust your talents in changing times. So, in the past, you may have dealt with things that were challenging. And again, beyond your control. But if you kind of like learn to go with the flow, and that's kind of like a talent, isn't it? To learn to go with the flow, because we know what we want, but because of things out of control, there will be delays or feel like an obstacle. And enjoying that kind of like delay, it gives you the opportunity to reflect and maybe time to discover another hidden talent. So it's kind of like to embrace changing times from the past. Okay. Let's see. Oh, look, there's a disc of cards hiding here. Oh, look. So this then is about what's happening today. So we've got the eagle. See from a higher perspective. And how apt is that? Because while I've been meandering about the situation, and this is about today, it's basically linking in from this, isn't it? Trust your talents in changing times. And now it's saying to see from a higher perspective, the eagle. And that's about being more objective and not to be so emotionally either involved or attached to, again, situations or circumstances that can be beyond our control. And I understand people say, well, if I'm at work, I can't control it. Well, if you're contracted to work, then, then you've got to do your contracted hours. But if there's a situation, it's kind of like not to be emotional. If the situation's happening, then an example is to be objective. Don't take sides, be neutral. And to see the full picture. And it's kind of like to be like the eagle, where you can soar above and look down and see it for what it is. And you are allowed to change your mind as well. And also here, it's about like this eye. It's kind of like literally being eagle eye and being objective at all times. If it's not your drama, you can listen, but don't get involved. And kind of like remain impartial. And that's not being a chicken or sitting on the fence. Again, it's that whole feeling, isn't it, about protecting your energy. So it's kind of like to choose your battles. Where do you want to invest your time and energy? So it's like learning to be objective. And then going forward into the future for the next month of the August, we've got Peacekeeper. Let go of the need to be right. So there's definitely a theme here, isn't there? With the past, trust your talents and changing times. Learning to go with the flow, basically. And then in the current moment, the present moment, eagle, see from a higher perspective. So that's about being objective in this particular moment, like today, going forward. And then taking us into the next month of August, peacekeeper, let go of the need to be right. So it's kind of like you don't have to prove that you're right. You don't have to argue. Okay? You don't need to prove yourself, basically. So it's kind of like if you're seeking outside validation, or there's, again, circumstances or situations, you don't have to prove that you're right. And it kind of like corresponds with kind of like being objective and being impartial. And it's kind of like to choose your battles. And again, with that theme about your time and energy, where do you want to invest it? And that's it, basically. And this is quite significant as well, because people would say that this is an Indigenous person who looks Native American. And people that will be considered Indigenous will be, what you would say, will be more connected with nature. And in the Western world, because of all these distractions, it's kind of like sometimes we are disconnected from nature, but we are all part of nature. And I'm going to end it there. I appreciate your ongoing support. Much appreciated. And like I said, because of my own personal time and energy, I will do this in the next 3 months. So hopefully I'll see you again in October regarding obviously this video reading. But obviously if you come to me for a one-to-one, I'll see you before that. So take care and have a good day. Lisa, Derby City.